back to Reaper Pro Tips. After a disrupted Monday, we are back for Tuesday with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard John, and Disembodied Ears, Kuro. How are you all? 55. And 62. Thank you, Clavicus and Shadow Raven, for the resubs. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, sorry about yesterday, guys. I got, honestly, 3 hours of sleep. Like, the sleep deprivation was real. The insomnia was real. I think it was a combo of getting grumpy about not being able to play video games because it messes up my shoulders and my arm. And I just decided, F it, I'm going to play video games on Sunday. And then also, you guys maybe know, I've been eating a little bit more than I'm used to for this new diet plan, which sounds weird. I know, but it's working, so. Yeah, I started eating a bit more, and my body doesn't like it when I eat more. Like, I notice my sleep is more disrupted on more calories, and the less I eat, like, not unhealthy less, but, like, if I eat within a certain range, I sleep great. So it's really weird. I've never heard that cited as, like, something that matters. I mean, blood sugar matters for sure. Like, you're not supposed to eat, like, a couple hours before bed, right? At least not anything heavy. But yeah, so that's a thing. It's a thing. So now I'm tuning my approach. But I'm down 2 pounds, so yay. But yeah, so I woke up at 3 a.m. and I couldn't get to sleep till like after midnight. So it was just, there was no way yesterday. There was no way. I somehow made it through the day and then crashed utterly into bed at like 9 and slept until like 7:30. So, yay. So I at least have sleep. Because sleep is like the top. Sleep is important. So I have Kid Adventurer Girl primed and ready. Since she's a 3D print, I just primed her. I know we don't normally prime things on this stream, but I decided I had a little extra time this morning, so I decided to. And we're going to finish up a Seltyiel today. We're going to do the black and the eyeballs. I think that's all we have left on him, really. Yeah, it's different for everybody, Marich. Some people can, like, you know, eat 2 hours before bed. I notice if I've had a larger supper, 3 is good. But sometimes I do actually eat a little bit of protein right before bed if I feel like I'm hungry. Because the problem with getting into this running and weightlifting thing is that my body processes the food and it wants more. And so if I like leave too long before, like yesterday, if I would have like gone to bed at our normal time, which would have been getting to sleep around 11, like it would have been 5 hours since supper because we ate a little early. That would have been like, I needed a snack. So I keep hard-boiled eggs around. I find that they don't, just like protein and fat don't disrupt my sleep as much. But yeah, everybody's different. My mom won't eat anything or drink anything like 4 hours before bed. But yeah, it's definitely weirdly overall calories. And now that I'm tracking them so religiously and trying to be excruciatingly honest about them, now I'm able to see the trends. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, and it's overall calories. It's not just, it's not like eating before bed. Like the night I couldn't sleep, the night I got 3 hours of sleep, I didn't eat like before bed for like 3 hours. And I still couldn't sleep. But I had like over 2,100 calories for the day. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to keep experimenting. Oh, interesting. Yeah, you might need to up your potassium a little bit, actually. Leg cramps can be low potassium. A lot of us get a lot of sodium, and we don't get the potassium to balance it. I used to have to do that when I was on keto. Alrighty, I need black. Where did I put it? Well, we're just going to do with that. Yeah, and I can't drink a lot before bed or I'll be up all night, so. And that also varies with the calories, though. It's weird. Yeah, leg cramps usually either potassium or magnesium. So that's why a lot of people take a magnesium supplement before bed. I take potassium before bed pretty regularly, just like 100 milligrams. Yeah, the key for me is not going to bed with a full belly, but like if I eat half of a hard-boiled egg, I'm not going to be full, right? Or if I eat like 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese, I'm not going to be full. So I'm able to do that. Like if I am hungry, there's just no way I'm going to get to sleep if I'm hungry. So I have to do something. So I choose choices that are that don't spike your blood sugar as much, and I don't go a lot, right? I go like 50 to 100 calories tops. And that seems to be fine. So, and that's only because I work out. Like, I'm working out a lot now. I had to miss my workout yesterday. Yeah, that's good. It's more of a woman thing, right? Like, me and my mom are the same in that way. Like, a lot of my female friends are if we drink a lot before bed. We're up and down a lot. Guys do not seem to have that problem, and David doesn't. Alright. There we go. Yeah, going to sleep hungry is worse. Yeah, and often I find if I wait too long, like even if it's 3 hours, if I haven't eaten a decent sized supper, if it's like 3 hours, I'll start to get hungry. And then it's like, nope. I have to nope and head it off at the pass. I don't have an actual black paint sitting here because I don't keep black. Actually, I don't think I have it even in my box. So I'm just making a quick mixed black, which is essentially a drop of Ritter Lake Blue into 3 drops of walnut. But yeah, I mean, everybody's got to figure out their own like nutrition stuff for sure. Go ahead and get just a little bit of blue in here. Walnut is near black anyway, but I want it to be colder rather than warmer, so I'm adding a little bit of Ritterlick. I probably should keep a pure black somewhere around. I used to, but then I put everything away when I shifted all my paint over. So essentially, walnut with just that tiny little drop, half a drop of Ritterlick there, should neutralize the warm tone in the walnut and give us a black we can work with. But yeah, and my whole thing has changed a little bit too as I start like since I added running, since I added more weightlifting. It adjusts stuff, right? So today's CrossFit. I haven't checked to see how in trouble I am with the workout. Alright, so I'm going to kind of test it and look at it. But as we can see, the warm tone from the walnut is gone, and we pretty much have black. So that was perfect. 3 drops of walnut with just like a half a drop touch of Ritter Lake Blue. And no, it won't really make a difference. Like, if anything, it'll give me a slightly nicer black to mix two different colors. The mixing the blue and brown to make black gives you a much more interesting black, a much less dead black. Hello, Stronghold, what's up? Alrighty, so let's get this guy in focus and let's get our black painted. We're almost done. And once we get that in the eyeballs, we can start on her. She's so cute. She's so cute. Little kid adventurer. I've been thinking about her colors. I think she's got to be in greens and blues with red hair. That's my thought. And a brighter red hair, like not an auburn. So yeah, in the meantime, I think everything else on this model is pretty much done. I just want to get some highlights in on the black here and get the eyeballs in, and we'll be good. I think we're pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna mix some highlights real quick. So I realized I should have just done that right off the bat. So there's our black. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of white. 2 brushfuls of this moving over, and then a little bit of white. And I'll just use regular old white for this. If we had painted him in such a way that the rest of him was in shadow, except for the fireball being the only light source, then we would maybe actually add a little orange into our highlights. But, or depending on reflected light down here and where the light comes in, could be like a bluish color or a cool color. But because we are painting him as if he's in daylight and he just has a fireball, which is just affecting a very small amount of him. Yep. Yeah, it's because it's because the blue cools down the black, and cool colors recede from the eye. So essentially, by doing that glaze of blue over your blacks, you're giving even more of a don't look here vibe. They just tend to look a little darker. But you want to do it super thin, yes, because Phthalo is strong and you don't want it to actually shift to a dark blue. So it just gives you a little extra. It's a little extra. Those tips are great. They're very subtle. They're very, very subtle. I think for many painters, many miniature painters, that kind of thing is overkill because you have to, I feel like a lot of painters, still need to work with color theory in general. And the little bit of extra pop that blue and black trick gives you, is going to be a very, very small effect. Get my number 2 brushes. Being annoying, I'll have to put some conditioner in it later. When they have a split, sometimes it's not the brush's fault at all. It's just that it needs to be cleaned. All right. And I'm going to actually get a little bit of just white. I don't really want to bring the grays up too much. But yeah, I think we'll do a fun thing. I don't know if we'll do it with her, but there is a color theory thing that I want to do. It's about getting better contrast. You know what? Instead of taking from that, I'm going to take a little bit of black. There we go. Great. But the basis of it is that you do a sketch, you do an underpaint, but you only use white, black, and a mid-gray. So you have to reduce all of your areas to one of those colors. And it forces you, that in that case, all shadows are black. All of them. And it forces you to really understand, to really get the idea of the light and the contrast. And then you blend the areas and you paint over them then with whatever and then you've done some underpainting. But it will force you to use more black, it'll force you to use more dark shadows. A lot of times with 28s, that's not necessarily you don't need it, but when you start moving bigger, it can be a bonus when you want that dramatic effect. All right, so I'm going to paint over my black, and then I'm going to start highlighting. So let's get closer. There. There's also a trick to make your whites whiter. Did you know that? It's kind of like the phthalo blue trick, except instead of putting a glaze over your white, you mix a tiny, tiny bit of ultramarine blue into your white. And that creates a white that looks actually brighter than a straight up white. So blue can be interesting. Those are the two kind of tricks. But again, it's very subtle, right? And this is where I'm going to struggle highlighting some of this stuff in here, but I don't really need to highlight it if it's back behind the swords, so I just want to kind of make sure my black is nice and dark back there. So I'm just going to stick my brush back there. But yeah, the plastics industries, when they produce white, deck furniture and stuff, plastic stuff, they add a little bit of ultramarine blue to make the plastic look even whiter. So I'm kind of going over, just because I'm using a slightly different black, kind of going over my black areas here. And then we can highlight. And the highest I'm going to go probably is a mid-gray. Yeah, and everybody perceives it a little differently as well, but those again are micro differences. Unless you're colorblind or have one of the various types of colorblindness. Then you get some weird, wacky stuff. There we go. So yeah, that black actually looks a little bit blacker than what I had on there before. Alrighty. Excellent. Nothing back here. Great. So we can highlight. But yeah, color, and it's a combo of what our eyes do and what our brain is doing. Most of the weirdness comes from our brain, Shadow Raven. Okay. I'm gonna bring out. Now remember, if I want this to stay black, I need to keep the majority of the surface black. I can't bring in too much of this gray, or it's gonna not look black anymore. And I didn't add any extra colors to my gray because I already have extra colors in my black that I'm using to build this gray. So yep. But that's the same thing, right? What we were just talking about, Turgeon, it's the same thing. Bluing with white plastic makes it brighter, and bluing with putting a glaze of blue over black in a painting makes it darker. So yeah, blue is weird that way. I'll take my highlights up a little higher on the foot because I want that to be a little bit more shiny, the leather of the shoe. Yeah, that's just it. Like it's a combo of the eye, like the perception, and the brain, right? So it's both the eye and the mind working in concert to interpret color and to tell us what we see. Because when it comes down to it, it's all just bounced wavelengths, and the brain puts filter on everything. It's like the example they always give is when you go to art school or when you take an art class, sometimes they'll do things like they'll make a still life and then they'll turn on a red light, and the only light in the room will be red. But if they put eggs into that still life, your brain will still see those eggs as white, even though if you took an objective photo, they would be bright red. And if you aren't too conscious of it, you will paint the eggs as white, even though, because your brain says they're white and you see them as white, even though they are obviously red. So your brain will adjust, it will compensate, it will interpret. It is your interpreter for color. And sometimes it's not helpful. And sometimes it is. Yeah, see, if I put a brighter edge highlight on there, it just doesn't look right, so I'm going to take it back down. Cloth tends to be more dull unless you're dealing with a silk or a satin. How's it going, Crowley Coffee? Coffee Crowley. Yeah, so just bring up that shoe a little bit more. Again, if I put too much highlight on that area, or I cover up too much of the black, the shoe will no longer look black. So I have to make sure that I keep my highlights small and sharp. Hey, it's Kara. Hi, Kara. The sleep deprivation beast got me yesterday. The worst sleep dep I've ever had, actually. It was crazy. The problem with sleep dep is that you wake up and you really want to go back to sleep and you're really tired, but then your brain is like, oh no, sleep deprivation, and it kicks in, and then the anxiety comes that you won't get back to sleep, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm a little bit weird today. I got serious sleep last night. I called off the stream yesterday because I got only probably less than 3 hours of sleep. And there was just no way I was going to be able to function in public that way. Just no way. All my filters would have been off and I would have been very grouchy. Just not something I want to submit to you guys. But yesterday, I don't get exhaustion headaches. I think today, my brain feels like a fried egg, essentially. It feels like a fried egg. Today, though, last night I fell into bed around 9:30 and I slept till 7:30, so I'm catching up a little bit. I'm still not fully 100%, but at least load's better. I think everybody reacts to that sleep dep a little bit different. With me, my brain just feels like a fried egg, and I'm just exhausted. I'm walking, and if my brain gets tangled into anything that it can get really turn itself off and just ride. If it's watching a documentary or if it's reading a story that's really immersive, or really really readable, it'll just dive in there, and I'll surface a half hour later going, what just happened? I've got less ability to pull myself out of loops like that. So I'm using a little bit of the lighter gray here to pull out the details on this pouch because it's so small that if I just use the darker gray, it's not going to show up. But since it's probably leather, I can get away with using those lighter grays. I just have to leave the rest of the pouch black, more or less. Yeah, eyes feel like someone is trying to shove them back into your skull. Yep. No, fried egg. I did not say Friday. Fried egg. My brain feels like a fried egg when I'm on sleep dep. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's just fried. I've dropped it in a bucket of hot oil and it's just crispy and flat. No, I did say fried egg. I did not say Friday. Sorry. Need to enunciate. Still recovering. Oh, that's a bummer, Kara. I'm sorry. No, I don't get that effect. Thankfully. Okay, so we're going to use the light gray for a lot of these straps, guys, up here. Just to hit that upper edge, bring out some of these details, upper and lower. I could stipple a little bit, but I'll stipple just a little, just to break it up. So you can bring out that strap. We need to highlight, this is cloth, so I need to go with the darker gray. Thank God it's fried egg day, yes. Yeah, fried egg. Sorry for the lack of enunciation there. But yeah, I'm still not caught up. But at least last night I got a really good dose. And I'm lowering my calories a little bit from what my new fitness app is saying. Just a little. Now, it's kind of an eye-opener that I was eating like 2,000 to 2,100 calories a day and still losing weight. It was slow. It was really, really slow. It was slower than it was supposed to be. Because it's still dialing in where my metabolism is. But the fact that that actually worked is kind of an eye-opener. Like, I never tracked it this strenuously before. I was never this good about it. That I really want this to work. I'm sick of struggling with it. I'm sick of struggling with it. I want to run. I want to do CrossFit and not have an extra 40 pounds on myself doing it. It's never thank God it's fried egg day, though, because if it's fried egg day, that means you got no sleep, and so that's not a thank God moment. But you can do whatever you like. So I'm just raising up that a little bit. You can see a little bit of highlight there. Maybe we need a little bit more there. I can mix a little bit of my light gray in, or I can paint the light gray over and then put the dark gray over the top. Because if I do the light gray, it tends to look too light for cloth. Fried egg, friend egg. Yeah, I mean, my knees are fine now that I'm doing a lot of exercises to correct my imbalances. My weak glutes and my weak hip muscles. Like, my knee is really good lately. It only really complains if I'm really beating it up. But I still have a lot. I still have more strength training to do to shore myself up. But yeah, the more I do the exercises that strengthen my glutes and my hip adductors, the better my knee gets. Like, pretty much I have days where there's like no knee pain now, unless I really, really flex it. Don't eat your friend's eggs. Get consent first. Hilarious. But yeah, so I expect the knee will also get, even more better. More better? More better. There we go. So that just a little bit of highlight on the black. You guys. Okay, so that's enough there. Like, I really don't need a lot. I just need a little bit of highlight to show that I have done some work on it. The light is hitting it. Bring out the shapes. I want to get the top of this little buckle. This guy has way too much stuff on him. Too much stuff. Come on, Paizo. Betterer. Yeah, betterer. Betterer. Oh. But yeah, at least I got sleep. Okay, I'm gonna look and see just how bad I'm gonna feel tonight. Let's do it. Let's dread it. Get the workout. What is it? Okay, we're back on the squats. That's good. Wait, where's our other stuff? Man, Tim has totally been slacking. apparently, there we go. Apparently our gym owner forgot to enter the entire workout into the app today. Yes, other Tim. Yeah, it's definitely like, I consider it not too fun, Val. Once you're done, like, it can look nice, but yeah, I appreciate this level of detail, but I appreciate this level of detail on a 75mm model. Because that's where you can actually paint everything and have it show up, right? I had to go to my WhatsApp and ask our coach if he knew what the workout was for today. Not that I would complain about having an entirely, weightlifting segment in our CrossFit, but it's not really CrossFit at that point. So I blocked on, look, I've made a very broad highlight here so it doesn't look black anymore. It looks dark gray. So I've got to bring that black back in. And I'm going to bring it back in around the sides. Leave a highlight down the middle, and I'll re-accentuate. Yes, other Tim. Tim, who owns our gym, has forgotten to put the workout in, except for the Zercher squats. They're non-negotiable, which is sad because I don't like them. If I had a proper pad for Zerchers, I'd probably be happy. But so Zercher squats are like where you're actually balancing the bar in the crooks of your arms. And you have to usually use, like, we're very high-tech in this gym. We use pool noodles wrapped around the bar. And we give him crap about not having, like, proper pads to do them. It's not really worth it for me to spend money on my own proper Zercher pad because I'm unlikely to ever do them at home because I'm perfectly happy with my front squats. Alright, so bringing the black back in, so now we can see that highlight going down the center. I think I need to broaden it just a little bit. I need to be very careful though, because if I get it too broad, it's gonna look wrong. Just gonna blend it in a little bit. Unfortunately, when it's wet, you have a hard time seeing it. So you can kind of see now. Yeah, there we go. When we get the sheen off, you can see that it's actually black. There it is. I hope it's not something incredibly punishing, because although I feel better, I definitely am not 100%. Just going to take my black and kind of go a little bit into there. There. Okay. Excellent. Let's do eyeballs, then we can get on to a new model. New model, yay. Okay, eyeballs. I want my walnut, actually. He's got fairly small eyes. Ah! And then I need whites. But I'm going to put a little bit of my gray into the whites. Or a little bit of my walnut in. Because the whites of our eyes are not actually white. If you use pure white, it will look too bold. It will look weird and cartoony and unnatural. So in order to get around that, usually you want to use like kind of a stone or a leather color, but you can make that very easily by just taking a tiny bit of your walnut and creating a little bit of an off gray. You can see that mix in. Just takes the white down a little bit, and that's all you need. When you're dealing with very tiny eyes, that's the only time that you use pure white, just because it's the only thing that's going to show up. It's fine, Rach. I assume the person who won this 90-day figure needs to, like, choose the next one. So who won? Who won the 90-day competition? Anybody know? John announced it. Hyper Bunny won again? Hyper Bunny needs to sit out. Hyper has won what? The last 3? Hyper, if you watch this after the fact. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, at a certain point, Mirage, this is what happens here in Bay Area, too. Like, David won Best in Show at the local con, like, 3 years in a row. And I told him, you have to sit out the next year. Like, give somebody else a chance. It's fine. You do a fantastic job. Everybody loves to see your work. But you know what? The more one person wins something, guys, the less people will enter. Because they will not believe they have a chance. That's a problem. Like, I almost, if it were me, it's not me. And this is nothing against Hyper if you watch this, and nothing against you. This is how I feel about everything. This is why I lectured my husband on this. But, like, I almost feel like it should be you can only win, like, once in a row. Like, you win, and then the next time, if you were the winner, the next person gets it. And then, you know, like, I almost feel like you have to, like, not have 2 in a row. Yeah, right. That's how I feel too. Like, I won the Best in Show at our local con a few years ago with the Halfling Assessment. And I just was like, okay, I'm not going to enter next year, right? And that's just me. But I feel like, in the spirit of the competition, like, just, it's a healthier ecosystem if people trade off a bit more. And when you have one painter who is really good in a given ecosystem, it can be demoralizing for other people. I mean, on the one hand, and it's hard for competition people, because on the one hand, they want to see a good model win. But on the other hand, and it is, like, publicly voted, right? But on the other hand, then it kind of gets sad for the other people who try. They feel like they can never beat, you know, so-and-so. This even happens in professional level competitions, though not as much anymore, because there's a lot of people at the very top level you don't see somebody dominating anymore like they used to. Yeah. Yeah, Quindy. Yeah, I think that should kind of be reinstated if it were me. And the thing that, like, yeah, I don't know, because it's a fun thing, right? And you get to choose the next one. Like, I really feel I wish, like, if it were me, I would step back. Especially because it's like, you know, there are several in a year. Like, it doesn't really kill you to not enter one. So yeah, if I have a Vote Reaper, it's that the person of the previous challenge can't win the next challenge. Like, that's, if you made that one change, because then, like, Hyper could still win, like, twice in a year, right? Or whoever is competing. Oh, I forgot. I need to highlight this. Right, yeah, trash. Well, that's kind of it, right? It's like, I mean, priming white will give you another tool in your toolbox, Val, because you'll have to actually, you won't have the black primer crutch for the shadows. You'll have to learn to push them dark yourself, something that I was always very challenged by. That's why I brought up, I think we'll do, either for the Patreon or for here, I'll do there's a 2D study thing where you paint a model, you underpaint in only black, white, and gray. And I mean one shade of gray. Like, all your midtones are that gray. All your shadows are black. All your highlights are white. And it forces you to get extreme about your highlights. Like, it forces you to really think about, and to see, like, the depth of shadow. It can look a little wonky out the gate. You put it all down, though, and then you come back and you do, like, an additional 2 shades between, like, white and gray and black and gray to finesse it. It can be a good exercise just to show you, like, how dark shadows can be and it still looks good. Because a lot of us, myself, I definitely am still like this unless I watch myself. Like, I'm very timid with my shadows. I always prime white or zenith, right? But I'm going back now to more white primed stuff because that's just where I want to be, and that's where I was for a very long time, is white priming. But I still feel like I struggled to get my shadows dark enough with white priming, which is why when I started doing zenith, it was an eye-opener. But now I feel like, okay, now I understand I understand that, so now I want to go back to white primer and make myself get the same shadows I would get from zenith. So if you start working over white primer, it'll be an experiment for you. You may hate it, you may struggle, you may like it. No one knows. I will tell you that when you're dealing with paints that are more translucent, white priming is the way to go. Because it's always easier to make colors cover over white. Oh, cool, Trash. Oh, wow. I mean, it gives you different effects. It can be good on monsters, Marich, because, especially if you're using washes, because you'll get more dramatic effects with your wash if you're starting with a lighter base coat, like more mid to mid light instead of like mid to mid dark, where a lot of people will base coat mid to mid dark and they'll put a wash on it. But it can be very effective to prime monsters white for that reason. Your mileage may vary, but I've been working on prepping the Reaper 30th anniversary Bones Dragon, and I'm going to prime that sucker white, I think. I'm going to paint it. And I may paint it gray and then prime it white, like over the top, and leave just a little bit in the shadows. It's a different tool, right? Like, learning to paint over black primer also gives you, like, tools and understanding that you wouldn't otherwise get. I see a little bit of area that I could highlight here. Boop, boop, boop. There. But yeah, and if you choose not to, you choose not to. It's not a huge thing, right? But it's just another way you can learn. Yeah, like, it depends on the monster, obviously. If you want a monster to be really shadowy, then that's, definitely, using black is great. But if you're doing something like an Odiug or, where maybe you want the color to be more mid and you want to put on some lighter highlights, like, I think if there's a lot of texture on the monster, I feel like that can definitely, like, white primer can definitely work there. Yeah, then try working on 75s, Val. See if it resolves, right? Like, if you feel like that's your issue, then the way to prove it is to move up a size and see what it does, right? See if it's true. Because often we're our worst. We're the worst at figuring out what's up with us, right? So testing, if you think it's that, grab a 75 millimeter, paint it, and see if that problem disapparates, right? If it disappears. Then you know that is probably that just the 28s are too freaking small. Yes, boop boop highlight method, you bet. Hey, even I can enjoy the boop boop highlight method. Boop boop. And I'm gonna do a little bit of shading and lining back here. Sorry, he's got his collar comes up pretty high there. There, all right. Now I'm painting the eyes in walnut. Just trying to get this a little thinner. The paint is a bit thick. So now we got to come at this from across. Often for eyes, when you've got this kind of across the face thing, you got to come in from the other side. So I'm turning the model upside down in order to paint the eye. Trying to get a nice solid dark color in there. Great. So yeah, then it may be a shrinking your highlight situation. Or putting another transition in there. I mean, the question is, does it look good? Hold on, guys. I just noticed Kiki contributed a piece of fur to my priming job on Little Kid Adventure. Had to get that off. It was very annoying. I mean, your midtone might be just a small area, as long as it's not disappearing entirely. Like, alright, because, I mean, that's how light works. It's not necessarily how we painted on 28s, but that's how light works. So, light... When I was showing this the other day, this is a chroma chart, but like when you've got a highlight, you've got your high highlight, and then it goes and goes and goes, but it drops to dark very quickly. Relatively speaking, a lot of your upper surface should be highlight, and you're really only getting your midtone in this point where you drop off. So, you know, it's just that most of us, when we're painting 28s, we're more like highlight, highlight, midtone, midtone, shadow, shadow, right? But it's not realistic to do that. It all comes down to, like, does it look good? If it's patchy, that's entirely different. Yeah, like it will be useful to you, Val, to focus in on exactly what it is that's really annoying you. Like, if it's because your layers are patchy, that's one thing, right? So then maybe that's a different issue than losing your midtones, right? When you lose your midtones, you just pretty much, like, well, and it can't be the same thing, right? Because then you're just transitioning too quickly and your paint is too thick to transition that quickly. It might, I don't know if you wet blend, but you might try that. You might try some wet blending. Yeah, you think you're doing them, and then you really look at it, and you're like, oh. Now I'm going to take my white. I think I'm going to have to thin it a little bit more. I need it to go in a stripe on the ball of the eye. Yeah, there's some stuff out there. I'm going to be putting some more stuff out there for my YouTube channel on value. Since it's really the sticking point where a lot of people kind of have issues. Once they've got the techniques down, then it's all... Once you've got physical techniques down, everything is conceptual. So, like, once you can layer, once you can wet blend, once you can line, you know, once you can get a smooth base coat, once you can mix a glaze, great. Everything after that is all up here. The conceptual techniques. Understanding the how and the why of light, contrast. Yeah. That's better. I've got the orb of that eye. I need to get this one. So I had to thin my white down a bit because you need it. I'm using a smaller brush, and you need it to come off of that brush. But yeah, I'll probably need to find a simpler figure. Maybe we'll do it on the Kid Mage. I don't really want to do it on this little girl, but the Kid Adventurer Mage is actually... Alright, now I'm going to use Walnut, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to use and get the eyes in there. And I want to get... I don't want to use my tiniest brush for this. I'm thinking about using this Zero, the Da Vinci Zero. But I think I'm going to have to thin my walnut a little bit. And that's counterintuitive. We want the color to be strong, but we also need it to be thin enough. And that's why using walnut for the iris and pupil combos is a good call, because walnut is super high coverage, even thinned. Yeah, I'll have to think about how to do it, Laura, as far as the contrast stuff. I mean, another one who, actually another way to do it is to do what Sergio does and paint from very dark to paint to very light on each surface. And we could try to do that as well. There's a couple different ways to learn it. I feel like he's tilting his head that way, so I'm going to make his eyes a little bit going that way. I really don't enjoy painting eyes on 28s anymore. There we go. That's getting pretty good. We got a little bit of shine there. But I want to see if I can... I wonder if I can fit in a highlight. It might be too small to fit in a highlight. I wouldn't do black and... Well, yeah, black and white monochrome. I see what you're saying. So a duochrome. Doing it, mixing a specific middle gray and using just those three tones is often how people are taught it in art school. Now I need a white, pure white, if I'm going to try to do a tiny highlight to catch light in the eyes. Let's see if I can do it. I don't know, these eyes are pretty small, so we'll see. I don't believe in doing colored irises in 28 mil. You have to artificially make the eye larger in order for it to carry. And I don't, like, it's just not something I enjoy doing. I've done it before on a couple of models. It's Derek who taught me that way to do it. Derek and Marika used to do it that way. And it looks great, but... I know he is. Yeah, the purest version of that, Laura, is to only use black, white, and one mid-gray instead of using a graduation of grays. And then, once you've got the black, white, and the gray blocked in, to add a mixture of the white and the gray and a black and the gray. So add two more and then blend, right? And then paint over it. Ideas and elf ears. Yes. All right, I've got this white. I'm going to grab my tiny brush. I might grab my Rubloff, but we'll try our Triple Aught Da Vinci, which is tiny needle brush. And I've got water in the brush, meaning I've actually wetted it down and then pulled the water out with my fingers. The problem with it is that often the catch light just obscures the pupil, and it did, so I'm going to just go back in and repaint that. When you've got a tiny eye like this and you're trying to bring out a highlight, it can just be punishing to try to do it. So I may leave him without a catch light, but I am going to take this white and put in his eyebrows. He had a highlight there anyway, but I think he's pretty good. I'll try one more, see if I can do a catch light on this side. If I can't, then I'm just going to stop, because I don't want to sit there repainting the eyes forever. Yeah, I'm not really getting a real high value from this brush. So you can try to put that extra light in there, but it often is going to not carry very well. And it's something you're only going to see when you get really close. I'm not a fan. Oh, he's such an emo goth boy. He's an emo goth boy. Of course he's got a stern face, trash. He can't be permitted to, like, you know, crack a smile or anything. Now I've got to kill that catch light and just leave my... Yeah, I'm just going to keep the eyes. He had no smiling allowed when you're goth. Yep. Alright, good enough. I'm going to reblock in the white here. Often when you're working with eyes, you'll get a little bit of a smudge of darker color on the hair to either side when it's... And that's the other thing, is the hair is like hanging over the face a little bit here. It makes it even more annoying. Alright. Good enough. And now we have to figure out what kind of base we want him on, but we won't be doing that until he comes around on basing day. But we have finished the model. Looks good. Totally has a Bauhaus t-shirt on. Totally. So now we gotta slowly push up to get him off of the sticky tag. He's actually not glued into the base. I just have the blue tack holding his tab in so that I could take him off and put him on a different base if I wanted to. Stringy blue tack. It's the worst. Well, we'll just pull it off. Michael. Only those of us who lived through the 80s or are into goth know that reference. I'm more of a Peter Murphy fan. after Bauhaus days. Alright, I'm just going to grab off my... I need to clean this off anyway, and this needs to be remixed. This blue tack. My blue tack is decomposing. It's too old. Blue tack should last forever, dang it. I guess they'd stop selling blue tack if it did, though. Alright, good enough. We must always correct people for misspelling Bela Lugosi's name. Yes. So now I have to use my blue tack to pull off the other blue tack. The best way to do that is to make sure I've got a nice solid glob. And then push and pull at it. It will slowly all come off. Stringy blue tack is the worst. It takes forever. And I wouldn't bother with this at all, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping this base, so I'm just going to take off what I can. And then I'll keep the blue tack holding him in until we decide like what we're going to do. And if I need to do further, if I want to take him off of this basing, then I'll clean the rest of it up. Black like my soul. So true. You can also take your pokey tool if there's a part that's being very, very recalcitrant and it's bigger. You can just pull it off. Usually works just fine. I could do that to pull some of this stuff off. Alright, that's good enough. I just don't want a lot of blue tack on the bottom so it would stick to whatever I put him down on. But dear me, that was a pain in the butt. So blue tack on slotted bases, not exactly awesome. Mental note. Mental note created. There we go. Oh, now we have a lot of models to base. We got Cat Bard, we got Noli, we got a Seltyiel. Alright, yeah, this is definitely a very sticky blue tack, so I think I'm going to grab a little bit of mounting putty, which is a little less sticky. Oh, if I even have any. Oh no, did I use it all? Oh, there it is. Got my blue tack down here, and I'm getting low. David has stolen a lot of it. So, the mounting putty tends to be the white, grayish, and it is less sticky. So if you have a very sticky blue tack, it's enough, Keeker. You don't need to worry. Yeah, there's nobody out there, Bubs, or if there is, it's nobody we need to worry about. Yeah, hi, Bubs. Good girl for not barking. Yeah, you just woofed a little. It's okay. Woofing is okay. You can woof. Yeah, you can woof, Fuzzball. She needs a bath so bad. Kiki smells like a dog. Bits of despair at Amazon overflow stores. It's funny. Hi, Keekers. Keeker. Hi, Keeker. What's up? What's up? Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Alright, so now we can take that mounting putty and we can mix these guys together, and it should help cut. You're allowed to move at the door too. It should help cut the sticky stringiness from the blue tack. Should bring it back into line. It should add stickiness to the mounting putty and take stickiness away from the blue. But you want to mix it up really well. So we start to get integrated. Prime Day deals that are just the same price it was last week. Yeah. Which reminds me, I have to put up a new, run my Facebook ads again for this week because my book is on sale. East of the Sun is going to be on sale. East of the Sun ebook version will be on sale for 99 cents in the UK and the US. There we go. So now it's nice, and it actually feels really good too. It's like moderately sticky, but it's not too bad. So I feel like this is a good measure of stickiness. I needed to knead it up anyway so that it would fit, stick really well to her base. So and she's got a very, very broad base. Yeah, or they raised the price and then did a discount. Yep. As an Amazon vendor, I can tell you that Amazon has been encouraging me to run sales. But yeah, there's nothing that says you can't raise your price and then discount. Okay, so, and I've squeezed a little bit up on the sides over the rim of the base. I find that holds things in place a little bit better. All right, and we got our nice little, yay! All right. All right, what do you guys want to start with? We've got about 20 minutes. We could probably do the skin. I mean, the skin is the obvious place to start. If she's going to be a redhead, then I want, then I want really fair skin. But I don't want to start that fair. Maybe I should use another Top Secret. I'm just looking at my choices here. Yeah, Yeah, she's gonna be a redhead. We could do freckles. Her face is big enough. Barely. We could do just a suggestion. Halfling jousting. Top Secret paints. Obviously you haven't been watching that much, Val. I've been using some Top Secret paints. Not so top secret. Like Black Knight Liner. But I haven't shown these before. It might be a little, this one might be a little bit too dark though. We probably needed to go a little lighter with that one. Maybe I'll do these. So, one thing I'll bring up, and again, I don't know when you'll be seeing this, but fair skin got an adjustment when I was in town. It's never been dark enough. It's always been too light, and it hasn't had sufficient, it hasn't had the pigmentation I would have liked to have seen in it. So this is the adjusted fair skin. I adjusted quite a few paints when I was in town, as things had some things had just slid since I was there, because 3 different people had the department, and decisions were made without me. But some of it is just like fair skin I've always felt needed to be a better color. So we're going to work with the new, the reformulated fair skin. It's still very close to the original fair skin, but it's a little bit deeper, and it's higher pigmentation. Well, that's why we're also going to use Top Secret paint, Flushed Skin. Grease and sweat and despair. I am not going to answer that question, Val. This paint is adjusted. I do not have clearance to talk about any top secrets. I double checked with Ron this past weekend to make sure that I did not have clearance to talk about any other top secrets. But as you can see, the fair skin now, it is a little bit darker. The problem I had with the old fair skin triad is they were all too light. That, and I felt like they needed more pigment. So the core of the triad, what will we see on fair skin? That's a good April Fool color, Quindy. Maybe we should work on that. Remind me of that one. So we'll start with our new reformulated fair skin. And then Flush Skin is a great weathering color, as Trash pointed out. Very unrealistic to have the very clean skin tones when you're out fighting at the Ren Fair. At the very least, your face will be flushed, so we will also use the Top Secret Flushed Skin. It does. It is a kind of a mashup. There were things that I didn't like about Bright Skin Shadow, and there were things that I didn't like about Rosy Shadow, so I kind of made a mashup. But it's a little bit different. Those are our 2 colors. So it's less muted than Rosy Shadow, but it's more muted than Bright Skin Shadow. And it's also warmer than Bright Skin Shadow. Oh, bye, Kara. Drop in a little bit of water. I'm dropping things. 1 second. There we are. Dropped things. Okay. So yeah, let's start. I tend to start dark with skin tones. We could start with our flush skin and go over the top of it if we wanted to. But just, to imply more like a sunburned tone. So what do you guys want to do? We can go more sunburned, or we can go using this more for like the flush colors and shadows. I kind of want to start with that and bring it up. It's the way I always did, like when I did historical figures that needed a very ruddy skin undercolor, I would start with a darker, more reddish color. Let me see. Halfling Jousting Knights. They're on pigs. Yeah, they're cute. But do they have ones on dogs too? Alright, so let's start with the reddish color and see how it works. And I'll keep a lot of that reddish color when it comes down to the ears and stuff. walruses. They have dogs and walruses. Well, cool. So this is a very sunburned color, but it's not. This is an improvement also on the old sunburned skin, which was too red. I feel like this is a very good kind of compromise between all of those colors. Bright skin shadow, rosy shadow, sunburned skin. And as you can see, coverage over white's pretty good, even though I thinned it. So pigmentation went up. Uh-oh, we've got barkies. Kiki, that's enough. No one really cares. No one really cares. Good girl. Good girl, come here. Hey, Keekers. Nope. Hey, enough. Kiki. Come here. Now. Come here. Now. Thank you. Settle down. You're being a jerk. Yes, this is the oversized kid adventurer. So it'd be a good base just for well-weathered skin tone. It's kind of what I wanted out of it. You can highlight it with regular skin tones. You can mix them together, or you can layer. But it is a nice, you know, good flushed skin kind of color. Exactly what it's supposed to be. But we will be taking this up with the fair skin. So let's see, I think our hands are regular and not gloved, so. Kiki, enough or you're exiled. You get one more shot. You've been very good today, but don't queer it, dog. Don't screw it up. She's like, okay, I'll lay down. I'll lie down until there's something else to woof at. So I've gotten everything eating from my like squirrel feeder except for squirrels. Like the brush jay or the scrub jay eats from the squirrel feeder. The little birds, after a chickadee like totally learned that he could eat from the squirrel feeder, the chickadee started stealing nuts from the squirrel feeder. And then the finches got in on it once the food ran out in their main feeder. And then, even though I made it very difficult, the rats have managed to figure out to climb up to the squirrel feeder to steal a nut. And the only animal that has like really just not even wanted to touch the squirrel feeder is the squirrels. All right. And this is a very saturated skin tone, is another thing to point out, which is good, because I was planning on using fairly vibrant colors on her. I'm going to see if I can just go over this with fair skin and see if it'll work. I want to bring up some of the fair skin up here, down and around the mouth. I may need to do some mixing. And I didn't thin this very much, so it'll be kind of blocking in. And I'll probably want to do a little bit of mixing, or I'll paint this flush skin over the top of the fair skin to blend it in. That's ridiculous. Trash. Yeah, well, I got a squirrel feeder because I don't mind them getting some of the food. And mostly because I saw one of my little black girl squirrel eating some leaves off of our mulberry tree, which they'll do if there's like if there's a shortage of food, or if there's a lot of competition for food. So I'm like, all right, I don't want you to have to sit there and eat mulberry leaves, so I'll get you a feeder. But I wanted to kind of make the feeder a little harder for the rats to get up. And for the most part, it seems only the biggest rats can get up it. But yeah, it seems that the squirrels just haven't even wanted to touch it. Oh, voles. Oh. Yeah, chili powder I've heard works. I didn't know if it would work on rats. Does anybody know if the chili powder trick will keep rats from eating your seeds? So we're starting to bring in those. Now, because I am going over the top of this reddish color with a skin color that is not reddish, it is, nonetheless, the red is going to kind of carry through a little bit, especially if I've thinned, which I have a little bit more. I'm about to do more. If I've thinned the other skin color, you are going to see that reddish hue come through. So it is going to affect the face color, and you're going to see that. Shake their heads and keep on nibbling. They must just be really hungry, Rach. They're like, this sucks, but we need food. I mean, if humans can acclimate to higher levels of spice, one wonders if squirrels can. Maybe we're just like making them into Texan squirrels. Yeah, we have tons of rats. Kiki almost killed another one the other day. She killed one a while ago. It's enough, Keekers. Just people out and about. You'll be out and about soon enough. We'll take your walk. Get the chin. I will want to get the lips with a darker, redder color. Squirrel wallet treaties. See, we have tree rats that are actually rats, Michael. The rats here are arboreal. They have learned to climb trees and to use them as highways to get around. So I can't call a squirrel a tree rat because we have actual tree rats. They can't jump like a squirrel, but they can absolutely like go up high in a tree and go out on a branch to make it bend down so they can get onto your roof. Yeah, these are actual rats. I'm just doing some lining around the face. I like to do that once I'm starting to get the first highlights on. It gives me kind of a more of a visual reference point for how light or dark anything is. Yeah. Yeah, I wish that my tree rats were squirrels. I like squirrels better than tree rats. So this is both lining and a bit of underpainting on the hair next to the ears so that hair will be a little darker, let the ears show up more. Yeah. Yeah, I like squirrels. I'm okay with squirrels. But I mean, my squirrel buster still works. And I have a baffle on my my finch feeder that works. So in general, my squirrels just come and eat the seeds that the birds have thrown on the ground. Yeah, there's a rat that's so fat. It looks like a gerbil or a hamster. Like it's that round. It's a very, very greedy little rat. And they are the annoying ones, yes. My only hope is that since it can't move very fast, one of the neighborhood cats will get it. There was a cat in my backyard, actually, yesterday. It was lucky it moved fast and got out of the yard fast. I like cats, but I do not like people letting their outdoor cats out to run around my yard and kill my birds. And I am not against allowing Kiki out to chase the cat out of the yard. So it's a good thing that this cat decided to skedaddle. Or it would have had a Kiki breathing down its neck. Well, did a little bit of a blorf there. Get that so that all stands out. Usually this is the point where I do also fill in the eyes. These eyes are big. We can do colored irises on these. Hey there, Sea Child. Yeah, commission paint job, NMM for the model, lot chainmail. Yep, highlighted chainmail. Yep, brush into a paddle. Yeah. You can highlight each piece individually, Sea Child, but what I would do is treat it like cloth up until you get to like the last level or 2 levels of highlights. So like treat it like cloth, and then when you're on your white or your near white highlight, that's where I would start to pick out individual little links. Because other than, if you think about it, if you try to do that early in, it's not going to show up anyway, because you're going to cover over those highlights with other highlights. Like, it's going to be, you can always take your shadow color to kind of like separate out links with a little bit of a black wash if you have to, or just a layer, or a little bit of lining with thin paint, which is more like what I do. But I find that for all textures, especially on 28 millimeter, I'm not sure what scale you're on, but for 28 mil, like, trying to do detail in all of the layers, like, just, it's kind of a waste of effort. If you can get the shadows, midtones, and, like, first highlight in with, like, just doing kind of broad brush strokes, and then take the time to just refine and then pick out individual details, I find it works just as well, and it isn't as much work. Also, if you piecemeal like that, if you try to highlight each link of chainmail individually, it tends to look a little less realistic, because in nature that's not how the highlights would work until you got really, really close to the chainmail. Yeah, oh yeah, 25 mil. Here, hold on, let me look up something. Let me look up a visual reference and double check myself on this. All right, so if you look at this, sure, you can see like kind of the individual like layers going across here. But it is very broad, right? You've got, your darker gray, your mid-dark gray. You've got kind of a mid-gray here. You've got kind of a light gray here. You could take a little bit and like separate out some, like paint this all light and then just separate out these stripes of mail. Like, but you can see how, like, if you back up, it all begins to just look like different colors of gray. Like, you could paint it in blocks, and then as you get in, you can start hitting individual ones. But you can see there is like a stripe of white here, right? So, and if you imagine this model so small that it's like, hold on, I'm trying to find another reference. Yeah, if you imagine it's so small that it's a 28, you start to lose all of that. All right, and that's scale. Like, you can see, too, this is a difference between, like, really fine chain, and scale. You can see that scale, you're much more likely to see the individual scales. But when it comes down to, like, really fine stuff, really fine, like, chain or semi-chain, like whatever this is, it tends to blur much more. You don't see the individual. Hold on, let me find a better example. I'm going to use my first example because, I mean, I'm trying to, I typed in like chainmail and sunlight so I could see, but yeah, so it's more like if you shrink it down, like how much do you see, right, individually? And you mostly only see the individual links like when it's in light, right? Because if you go even into the shadow here, you don't see it as much. Yeah, that's just probably a sculptor not understanding, like, chain. I'm trying to find another good picture under strong... I want a picture under strong light. Why are there not more pictures of people at Renaissance fairs in the sun? But hopefully that gave you at least an idea of how much it might or might not pick up light, right? You tend to highlight it in masses and then just bring out details on the highlight areas. Yeah, I'm not finding a really good... Well, that's okay. That's even that. And chain tends to be very dull, too. I mean, relatively speaking, especially when it's next to other things. Okay, so this is actually in sunlight. But again, you can see there's a large highlight patch here, right? And then you could come in and just add in tiny details. Yeah, that's what I would do. Like, when I consider it very fast to paint NMM chainmail because you can just block in so much of it and then spend time just picking out a few details and it looks great. So yeah, so hopefully this helps. Certainly a good topic to cover. Yeah, that was probably the best picture I'm seeing. It's a lot of like plate armor. I like that picture with the chain and the scale next to each other. You can really see how different the chin is. Yeah. Oh, I mean, it never hurts to look up actual examples. If you get the right Google search, you can get some good references. But yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming in and asking the question. This stream is pretty much about derailment. I get pretty bored when I just have to paint a model and I don't get any like cool questions to derail me, so I hope it works out for you. Good luck with the model. Yeah. Oh, time check. Yeah, that was our derail. Okay, and I got the other eyeball in. All right. Excellent. So we will continue to highlight. Next time I'll make this mini a card so we can remember the different colors we're using. So, got a Bristol card here, but I use watercolor cards as well. We'll put down that we're using the new Fairskin. And the flush skin, and that way I'll have those references for next time. Where's my pen? Hiding. There it is. Oh, that's a pencil. It's okay. All right, and then Kid Adventurer. Girl. All right. So now I can just put that underneath her on the shelf and we will know what colors we used. Thank you very much, everybody. Yay. So tomorrow, I thought about switching over all to Reapercon models, but I kind of really want to work more on the white armor on her. So I think I might actually work on her one more week. We were working on the back last time and it looks really good. So I think we'll do Tiffling tomorrow because I really like her. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. And I will see you on the morrow and have a great day. All right. Oh, and Rhonda will be on it too, probably. So show up. Yep. See ya. Bye-bye.